bearing that distinctive calcium signature. The mountains above didn't last long. In around 500 million years, erosion ground them down until all that was left was this at the bottom, the Grand Canyon's most ancient layer. As we rise up the side of the canyon, we travel forward in time. Each foot takes us closer to the present day, and each period has its own history. Over hundreds of millions of years, the land masses continually change shape. Forces deep inside the Earth cause continents to break apart, drift away, and form new ones. Open up beneath the ocean. Sea levels change and flood low-lying areas. At least 8 separate seas have flooded this area since erosion cut down the Vishnu Mountains. They covered the land and retreated again. The evidence is here, nearly 2,500 feet above the modern Colorado River and 5,500 feet above present-day sea level. These are the remains of oyster beds that flourished here nearly 100 million years ago. The Cretaceous Sea stretched from Kansas in the east to Nevada in the west, from Mexico in the south to the Arctic in the north. It was a shallow seaway that covered much of the continent. Sea creatures sank to the bottom of the ocean and fossilized in a thick gray layer of mud. Scientists call it the tropic shale. Wayne Ratty is fascinated by this region, rich in fossil history.
This oyster bed, which contains millions of oysters, was from a sea that was a shallow sea that covered the interior of North America between about 80 and 90 million years ago.
Oysters weren't the only creatures living in this ancient sea. Life was abundant. Sharks, turtles, and ammonites also inhabited the waters. Today, as erosion slowly wears away the layers of rock, new fossils appear. And in 2005, just 70 miles away from the edge of the canyon, paleontologists found the well-preserved skeleton of a plesiosaur, a dinosaur-like fish-eating reptile. For David Gillette, it was a dream come true. He is the curator of paleontology at the Museum of Northern Arizona in Flagstaff.
For vertebrate paleontologists like myself, finding plesiosaur skeletons like we're finding in the tropic shale is almost a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The one in front of me was a plesiosaur that was about half complete. We found the front half of the body. And that's more exciting almost than anything I can imagine.
Plesiosaurs were seagoing reptiles. They were last seen about 65 million years ago when a catastrophic mass extinction hit the Earth. Gillette's plesiosaur dates back much earlier. It lived around 90 million years ago. Clear proof that this area was under the sea at that time. The seas left deposits of mud, the remains of living creatures. Sea currents moved this material, which then settled. And over time, the deposits turned into layers of sedimentary rock. Ron Blakey explains.
What I'm going to show you now is a form of sedimentation. I have here a glass cylinder that's filled with water and sediment, mostly sand. And what I'm going to do is shake this up. And the shaking up provides energy that allows the sand grains to move around this cylinder of water. And then when I set it down, that energy is removed and the grains will immediately settle out. Let's see what happens. As you can see, the coarsest grains have already settled out. Finer grains are settling. And now most of the sand is out. The water is still cloudy because there's some fine material still in suspension within this cylinder. But all the energy of the system has been removed. And so now even the finest grains over time will settle out to form a layer of sediment.
This process demonstrates how sedimentary layers built the Grand Canyon. Over the course of time, the glass cylinder turned many times. And when the seas come and go, This is all that remains. Millions upon millions of years of sediment compressed over time to form layers of rock, the building blocks of the canyon. But powerful forces were building deep underground, forces that would thrust these rocks a mile into the sky. We are on a journey to discover the geological processes that created the Grand Canyon. We are in the Cretaceous period, where plesiosaurs hunted in the shallow seas that covered the area near to where the Grand Canyon is now. Seas flooded and retreated over this area for millions of years, overlaying the ancient Vishnu Mountains with 2 miles of sedimentary rock. Half of that has since eroded away to leave today's canyon 1 mile deep. The next major transformation will push the land several thousand feet into the air. Deep beneath the earth, a monumental force builds up. It is one of the greatest forces on Earth, the gigantic power of colliding tectonic plates. Over millions of years, the planet's surface changes. Scientists explain the process using the theory of plate tectonics. The surface of the Earth is made up of a series of large plates. They float on the soft plastic part of the Earth's mantle. The inner core of the Earth may reach over 12,000 degrees. Heat escaping from the core creates convection currents in the next layer, the lower mantle, pushing the plates slowly across the surface. Scientists call it continental drift. Over time, whole plates move apart and crash back into each other, shaping and reshaping our world. Scientists believe that these colliding tectonic plates were instrumental in creating the Grand Canyon. Around 130 million years ago, the oceanic plate began to collide into the western edge of the North American plate. Oceanic plates are 30 to 60 miles thick and lie beneath the sea. They consist of dense basalt and get pushed down. Continental plates are mostly granite and lighter. Oceanic plates subduct underneath them when they collide. So when the oceanic plate hit the lighter North American plate, the oceanic plate moved under